and you're going to get honest feedback. She's the greatest player, female player that ever lived. Then the lady said to me, I don't remember which one, but she said,
something is wrong. Not in a vague, hard to pin down kind of way. In the kind of way where you're watching a story unfold in real time and something just doesn't add up. 6 weeks ago, Alexandra Eala was sitting at a career-high ranking of number 29 in the world. 29. For a 20-year-old from the Philippines who grew up idolizing the sport and grinding through the junior ranks, that number represented everything. It wasn't just a ranking, it was proof. Proof that she belonged. Proof that the talent was real, that the work was paying off, that the trajectory was pointing somewhere genuinely special. And then, almost as quietly as she climbed, her name disappeared from a tournament draw. No statement, no explanation, no press conference, just gone. And if you're a tennis fan, you know that kind of silence doesn't settle anything, it opens everything up. So let's talk about what's actually happening with Alex, because the full picture is a lot more complicated, a lot more human, and honestly, a lot more interesting than a simple withdrawal story. Alex Eala is not just a tennis player. She never really has been, not in the way that phrase usually lands. From the moment she started winning junior Grand Slams, she carried something heavier than a racket bag onto every court she walked onto. She carried the weight of an entire nation's hope. The Philippines doesn't have a long, storied history in professional tennis. There's no deep pipeline of former champions, no legendary clay court tradition, no Hall of Fame names that kids grow up memorizing. What the Philippines had was Alex. And that changes everything about how you have to understand her story, because every decision she makes, every match she plays, every tournament she enters or withdraws from echoes far beyond her own career. Her fan base isn't just loyal, they're emotionally invested in a way that's genuinely rare in this sport. So when she vanishes from a draw, without a word, that silence lands differently. It doesn't just raise eyebrows in tennis circles. It sends a ripple across an entire region. To understand why this Madrid withdrawal feels so jarring, you have to rewind to where she was just a couple of months ago, because the contrast is almost hard to believe. In Dubai, Alex produced what might have been the single best performance of her professional career. She walked onto the court against a top 10 seed, a player ranked among the best in the world. And she didn't just compete. She dismantled her. Straight sets. Clean, composed, tactically brilliant tennis that left commentators genuinely searching for the right words. This wasn't a scrappy upset where the favorite had a bad day and the underdog scraped through. This was Alex playing at a level where she looked completely in control, like she'd solved a puzzle that had been frustrating her for years. The shot selection was sharp. The footwork was precise. The mental composure, that intangible thing that separates good players from great ones, was on full display. People in the tennis world noticed. Not in a polite, obligatory way. In the way where conversations start shifting, where analysts start recalibrating their projections, where opponents start watching your matches a little more carefully before they play you. That Dubai performance did something important. It forced the WTA circuit to update its mental model of who Alex Eala actually is. And she didn't stop there. Her very next match, she faced someone who had been on one of those rare hot streaks that make opponents dread the draw. 7 straight wins, not a single set dropped, the kind of momentum that makes even seasoned pros nervous. Alex beat her too. At that point, the picture being painted was undeniable. This wasn't a flash of form. This was a player who had figured something out. Yes, she eventually ran into Coco Gauff. And yes, the scoreline 6-0, 6-2 looks brutal on paper. But here's the thing about that match that gets lost when people just look at the numbers. Gauff is the world number 3. She's been one of the most dominant players on the tour for the better part of 2 years. Losing to her isn't a referendum on where Alex is headed. It's a data point, a useful one. You learn things about your game when you face someone operating at that level, things you simply cannot learn any other way. And by all accounts, Alex walked away from that match with information, not defeat. The direction was still upward. The confidence was still building. The results were starting to align with the potential that people had been projecting onto her since she was a teenager. And then came Miami. Miami was complicated for reasons that go beyond just what happened on the court. The previous year, Alex had one of those breakthrough tournament runs that change how your name sounds in the sport, beating top-tier opponents back-to-back, reaching the semifinals, announcing herself on one of the biggest stages in women's tennis. That kind of run doesn't just boost your ranking. It rewires how the tour thinks about you, but it also creates something tricky, points to defend. When you have a huge result one year, the following year you have to at least replicate it just to stay where you are. You're not playing to gain ground, you're playing to hold it. And when Alex couldn't replicate that semifinal run in 2026, the ranking consequences were immediate and sharp. She went from building on her momentum to suddenly needing to recover from a drop she hadn't anticipated at that scale. That's a psychological weight that's hard to describe if you haven't been in a high-pressure competitive environment. It's not just about the numbers changing. It's about the story you tell yourself about where you are and where you're going, and having to rewrite that story in real time, in public, under a spotlight that never really turns off. She carried all of that directly into the clay season. Stuttgart was her first test on the red dirt, and it didn't go the way she needed it to. Leylah Fernandez, an aggressive, experienced clay court competitor, controlled the match from the very first game. It was quick, it was one-sided, and it was the kind of loss that doesn't just sting in the moment. It asks harder questions. Because clay is a different animal, it exposes things. The longer rallies demand a different kind of physical and mental endurance. The footwork requirements are more precise and more punishing. A player who looks fluid and powerful on hard courts can suddenly look slightly off balance, slightly hesitant on clay, and that slight difference gets amplified over the course of a match. Alex has always been at her best on hard courts. Her game, the flat ground strokes, the pace she generates off the baseline, the way she can dictate points when she's in rhythm, translates beautifully on hard surfaces. Clay asks her to be patient in a different way, to construct points differently, to trust a process that doesn't always produce the immediate results her hard court game gives her. That learning curve is real, and Stuttgart was a reminder that it's still very much in progress, which is exactly why what happened next is so difficult to process, because the expected response, the healthy developmental response, was to keep going, to take the Stuttgart loss as information, make adjustments, and step onto the Madrid clay with something to prove. That's how this part of the story was supposed to go. Instead, her name disappeared from the Madrid draw. No explanation, no injury update, no thank you to the tournament post that players almost always put out even when they're pulling out for minor reasons. Nothing. And in a professional sport where communication has become almost reflexively polished, where even routine absences come with carefully worded statements, that kind of complete silence is its own kind of statement. It forces everyone who's paying attention to start filling in the blanks. Now, there are really only a handful of explanations that make logical sense here. The first, and the most straightforward, is physical. Tennis at the top level is brutally demanding on the body, and the stretch Alex has been through, Dubai, Indian Wells, Miami, Stuttgart, is not light work. These are back-to-back, high-intensity environments where the travel alone would exhaust most people, let alone the actual competing. Clay, on top of all that accumulated physical stress, is the most punishing surface in the sport. Longer points mean more lateral movement, more sliding, more load on the knees and hips and ankles. Something that's manageable at 80% on hard courts can become genuinely risky on clay. If Alex was carrying even a minor physical issue, something she'd been managing quietly, the smart move, the responsible move, might have been to protect herself ahead of Roland Garros rather than risk making it worse in Madrid. That scenario makes complete sense. It would explain the silence too, because sometimes injuries involve a level of privacy that players choose to maintain, especially when they don't yet know how serious something is or how long it might take to resolve. The second possibility is less clinical and more human, the mental and emotional weight of everything that's been happening. This part of the conversation tends to get avoided in sports media because it feels less concrete than a physical injury, but it's just as real. Alex is 20 years old. She's navigating the pressure of being a national icon, managing the expectations that come with a career-high ranking, processing a significant ranking drop after Miami, adapting to a new surface under intense scrutiny, and doing all of it while the entire thing plays out in public. The WTA Tour is not gentle about any of this. It doesn't slow down because you're tired. It doesn't give you a quiet week to recalibrate. It just keeps moving, and you either move with it or you fall behind. Sometimes the right call, the genuinely wise and self-aware call, is to step back, not because you're broken, but because you recognize that showing up at 60% serves no one, least of all yourself. If that's what happened with Madrid, it's not a red flag. It's maturity. But here's what makes the silence so frustrating regardless of which explanation is true. The people who care about Alex most, the fans who wake up early to watch her matches, the young girls in the Philippines who see themselves in her, the tennis community that is genuinely invested in watching her develop, they deserve something. Not a detailed medical report, not a press conference, just a word, a line, something that says, "I'm okay," or "I'm taking care of something," or even just "more soon." Because right now, the vacuum is being filled by speculation, and speculation is rarely kind. And Alex, more than almost any player at her level, has a relationship with her audience that goes beyond the typical athlete-fan dynamic. She knows this. Her team knows this, which makes the silence even harder to understand. What we can say with some certainty is what the stakes look like from here. The clay swing, Stuttgart, Madrid, Rome, Roland Garros is the most consequential stretch of the European season. For a player at Alex's ranking, these tournaments aren't optional stops on a busy calendar. They're load-bearing walls. They're where rankings are constructed, where momentum is built or lost, where the foundation for Grand Slam positioning gets laid. Roland Garros seedings are determined by ranking, and a seeded position means avoiding the top players in the first few rounds, which is the difference between a real run at the title and an early exit. Alex, at her current ranking of 44, is close enough to break into the top 32 with a strong run through Rome and possibly an early Roland Garros result. But that window doesn't stay open indefinitely. Every tournament missed is points not accumulated, progress not made, ground that has to be recovered later instead of built on now. If she misses Rome too, the conversation changes significantly. It stops being about a bump in the road and starts being about a real detour. The Roland Garros draw becomes harder to navigate. The pressure heading into the grass season amplifies, and the question of whether 2026 becomes a year of development or a year of setbacks becomes a lot harder to answer confidently. But here's the thing, and this is important, none of that is inevitable, not even close. The players who are now considered the best in the world have all had versions of this. Aryna Sabalenka had stretches early in her career where the results didn't match the talent and the pressure felt suffocating. Coco Gauff went through a period where the weight of expectation visibly affected her game before she found her footing and became who she is now. Iga Swiatek, as dominant as she's been, had to learn how to handle the mental demands of being the favorite before she could consistently play like one. The path to the top is not a straight line. It never is. It's full of moments exactly like this one, Moments where the story pauses, where the trajectory gets interrupted, where something forces a recalibration. What matters isn't that the pause happened. What matters is what comes next. And if you've watched Alex play, if you've seen the way she competes, the way she handles a tight moment in a match, the way she carries herself on a big court, you understand that she has the ingredients. The talent is not in question. The work ethic is not in question. The competitive instinct is absolutely not in question. What's still being written is how she handles adversity at this level, how she responds when the plan falls apart, how she bounces back when the momentum gets broken. And right now, we're right in the middle of that chapter. Rome is next. If she walks onto that clay with her name in the draw, competing, adjusting, fighting, then Madrid becomes background noise. A line in a longer story that ends somewhere much better. But if the silence continues, if the absences keep stacking, then the questions will get louder and the window will get smaller. The tennis world is waiting. The fans are waiting. And somewhere in this story, Alex Eala is making a decision that only she fully understands right now. Whatever it is, whatever's happening behind the scenes, here's hoping she gets the time, the space, and the support she needs to come back and remind everyone exactly why they started watching her in the first place. Because when she's right, when everything clicks, and she's playing that free, aggressive, fearless tennis that made Dubai feel like a preview of something much bigger, she's something genuinely special to watch. And the sport is better when she's in it, fully on her terms, ready to compete. That's the Alex Eala story that everyone wants to see continue. And it's not over, not even close.